Thanks for staying up with us. I'm Dylan Jimenez. At least 14 people are dead after storms battered parts of Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas Saturday night. Just the latest in what have been 2 months of an extremely active tornado season in the heart of the country. A little tidbit from council this morning. Councilors voted unanimously to change an ordinance which automatically names Councilor at-large Mayor Pro Tem. They will now put it to a vote amongst themselves. Councilors, not including the mayor, will vote in the second meeting in December to determine who will assume the role. Mayor Galen Burris also said this is a great opportunity for citizens to take advantage of the extended hours for services that they need, and ended up passing 5-1 in chambers. All throughout the day, Chief Meteorologist Michael Bowling, Noah Trombley, and Dan Dickens were keeping you up to date with the latest on severe weather as multiple tornado warnings were issued throughout Texoma. Viewers sent in videos and photos from today's severe weather. The video you see right there on your TV right now is a tornado near Windthorst. Not only is Election Day coming up, but the city of Wichita Falls is making way on the demolition of the Old Falls Motel. Tomorrow, the Type B Sales Tax Board will convene for a public hearing regarding a request of funds from the city to tear down the hotel.
And Dylan Jimenez is at the watch party for Austin Cobb and joins us now with all of the city council results. Dylan, what do you know so far?
Well, guys, like you said, a lot of important races here across Wichita Falls, and that large, probably the biggest one. And I'm sitting here now with Austin Cobb. And Austin, I got to ask you the first question, was a runoff on your bingo card tonight? Now, they left out some bales of hemp right here as we get to see of what kind of hemp they're going to be producing. And we even got to see a little bit of production during the ceremony of what this is going to look like. Yeah, Tobin, when you told me to, hey, go out to Colorado City, I thought, well, that's great because I'm a West Texas kid and you sent me back here to West Texas, and, it doesn't feel good to just be home, but also to cover Hershey High School football. And I'm here with Coach Lawrence Johnson. And the one and only Tobin McDuff joins me now. And Tobin, high school baseball, softball, you got any dingers in there? Dan, I mentioned that Buddy Holly reference earlier. So instead of every day, it's a getting harder.
I thought you were going to sing Peggy Sue, but that's
Peggy Sue's a good one too. I like Peggy Sue. Now, it doesn't take just money to get these houses built. It also takes volunteers, and they're calling for you to come out and help them as they get ready to build on Walnut Street. MJ, they're talking about 35% wage increase, but I think the Cowboys should look at some of the players and maybe take away 35% the way they play today.
So. Is that because of performance, perhaps?
Yes, performance is right there. So.
Yes.
That's your weather. I'm going to give this a try.
That's not
what
Dan.
to expect? No, this is Dylan. Yeah, we're going to get down to 83 degrees by 4 a.m. Partly cloudy. Winds out of the south at 10 miles per hour. And Dan, you have another slide after this?
Nope.
Take another look at your 10-day forecast.
It's a 7-day
forecast.
Yeah.
My bad.
What'd you say, the 10-day?
Heat index value 111 tomorrow with a high of 107 and just 100 straight across the board. And I'm going to give this back to Dan.
I love that our producer came into the studio just to watch this moment in person.
Now I can say I've done everything at this station. Got this sports, anchored report. Now weather, there we go. I've conquered it all.
You wish you could take a train to DFW or even Denver.
Well, it might not happen in the next year or two, but local officials are sending letters of support for Amtrak after the company designates Wichita Falls as a future stopping point.
Dylan Jimenez looked into this for us today and at the impact that it could have on this city.
Wichita Falls Chamber of Commerce CEO Ron Kitchen says the potential connection with DFW could bring lots of growth. Historian Steve Goen echoes the same remarks, saying this similar route should have never been taken away from the city.
All the trains would come down from Amarillo.
Page.
And here's everybody down there to see it, say bye to it.
By Page.
That's the cook. He stepped off the dining car long enough to go in the depot one last time.
Historian and author Steve Goen reminisces on passenger train service in Wichita Falls.
Like I said, we should have never lost it. It was one of the worst things that really could have happened to Wichita Falls transportation-wise.
But now the famous route could flourish once again.
We've got to do the work today to ensure that people 8 or 10 years from now have a stop for Amtrak.
With nearly 20 stations across the Lone Star State, Amtrak is eyeing Wichita Falls as a future stop. The city founded by railroads now might turn back to its roots.
We're working closely with them on a regular basis to make sure they know we want this. There's no place in our country where the railroad went through and stopped that communities haven't grown.
Adding an arrow to the city's quiver of growth, says Chamber of Commerce CEO Ron Kitchens, Goen echoing potential development as he reflects on a booming downtown the railroad brought before operations ceased in 1967.
A lot of things happened. Downtown in particular went on an immediate decline downtown when we lost the passenger train, because 3.5 months later, they were already tearing the depot down.
But the infrastructure won't come without progress. Kitchen adds, as the city enters a boom period and new schools on the horizon, the cards are in play for the return of passenger train service.
It doesn't precede it, so we have to do our work and then let them follow us to support that.
When Amtrak was created in 1971, the route back through Wichita Falls should have been one of the ones that they put back on.
Only time will tell if and when Amtrak lays tracks in a city rooted with railroad history. I reached out to Amtrak for a comment but have not heard back at this time. Be sure to stick with us on air and at TexasHomepage.com as we wait for their response.
Home of over 40 years is lost after Albany police say a heat lamp left on a porch caused the fire. Now the family's trying to decide what they're going to do next.
Dylan Jimenez spoke with the family today. So Dylan, how can people help them?
Lauren, friends of the family have set up a GoFundMe and other ways to donate also. Homeowner Patsy Kimbrough says when she received the phone call early Sunday morning, she was and still is in shock from the news.
Everything was destroyed. I lost everything.
An early Sunday morning shock for Patsy Kimbrough.
My grandson's girlfriend, Mackenzie, she called me and told me my house was on fire, and I said, what? I couldn't believe it. You never expect something like this to happen.
Albany Police Chief Dan Burbeck says a heat lamp left on the porch to keep cats warm started the fire. He's now reminding the public of using other sources of heat to prevent fires.
Make sure that those items are very secure and make sure that they're not close to bedding or any kind of combustible material, because this will be the result. This is the second fire in Albany during this cold spell.
Family friend Derek Owen is helping the family during this tough time. Smoke is still visible from the rubble as they wait to go through what's left.
We don't think that there's going to be anything salvageable. The fire's still smoldering at this time. It's past 36 hours.
All pictures, mementos, all that stuff that we think counts. You know, as a mama and a grandma, we save all that stuff, and it's all gone.
As Kimbrough tries to make sense of a tragedy, she leans on her faith.
Everybody's just been so nice to me and courteous, and I appreciate everything anybody does. God bless them all.
And the piano. Kimbrough finds light playing and singing gospel music as she waits in Graham Oaks Care Center to see what's next for her family. I mentioned smoke was still visible at the scene. Owen texted me just before 6. The fire department was dispatched a third time to control it. Kimbrough's grandson and his girlfriend were checked at the hospital for smoke inhalation and later released. If you'd like to help Kimbrough and her family, there are multiple ways to donate. Head over to TexasHomepage.com to learn how to give.
It's just terrible to see this happen.
It really is.
It really is. But thankfully, everybody's okay overall.
Absolutely.
Okay, Dylan, thank you very much.
It's been a week since Shepherd Air Force Base lost Captain John Robertson in a training accident on base.
Tonight, Dylan Jimenez visits with some of Captain Robertson's friends to learn who he was and the legacy he leaves behind.
I never imagined it would be him.
A shock to many at Shepherd Air Force Base.
Truly put others before himself and led others.
Fellow pilots mourn the loss of Captain John Skins Robertson, a man they say embodied the core values of the United States Air Force.
Service before self has been his mantra. Found out since as long as he's been around, through Civil Air Patrol in high school, through his education at the Air Force Academy. He always focused on serving other people.
Fellow airmen Matthew Robertson, John Connolly, and James Killian gathered to remember the fallen airman. For a seasoned airman like Killian, he always learned something new from Robertson.
Even an old guy like me can learn from a young captain. Just that selflessness, I think, is something that I will carry forward for the rest of my life. Focusing on who we are together as a team, focusing on what's the same, what we do. We have the same mission. We're all working towards a common goal.
On Captain Robertson's desk sits flowers with his Air Force jacket on his chair. A missing link for the 80th Flying Training Wing and for Connolly, who says it won't be the same without Robertson.
There's always going to be a lingering sadness. I know that this thing it'll calm down a bit. The memorial will happen, the flyovers will happen. And then after that, it'll just be like, oh, everything's all said and done, but our friend is still gone.
Now the airmen believe Robertson is flying high above the clouds.
I'll see him again one day.
I believe that he's in a better place right now.
There will always be a Skins-shaped hole in all of our hearts.
That was Dylan Jimenez reporting, and the investigation is continuing into that training accident.
He will be missed for sure.
Boxing isn't just a combat sport among the Hispanic culture.
Yeah, it's a source of pride and helps shape the identity for many countries, too.
Now, to wrap up our month-long series of special reports on Hispanic heritage, Dylan Jimenez shows us how for 3 local professional fighters, the sport is not just their job, it's a lifestyle and a passion.
It's a 16 by 24 feet square ring.
It's heartwarming.
Before Emmanuel Carrillo, Emmanuel Moreno, and Eusebio Maldonado, it's home.
I used to always watch different highlights, different videos of boxers I grew up watching and looked up to, and now I'm doing what they used to do.
Chavez, Mayweather, Canelo, and others.
Really, all I think about is fighting whenever I hear boxing.
Those dreams of championship nights are now true for 3 of Wichita Falls' very own, fighting at a rival boxing gym, Fallstown.
It's just a dream, man. Just something that, I've always wanted to accomplish. Just, seeing myself, seeing the fam, seeing my family, watch me on TV. I have my little cousins that, to this day, they're still watching my first pro fight.
For Moreno and Carrillo, it's been in their blood since their youth, fighting numerous amateur fights, winning multiple tournaments along the way.
What you give is what you're gonna get, and in boxing you gotta be dedicated.
Maldonado stumbled into the gym with a friend. Once he put on the gloves and hit his first bag, he never stopped showing up.
Truly never thought that I'd be here, and I'm glad that I'm here with them, you know what I mean? I wouldn't want to do this with nobody else.
Over the years, Maldonado and Carrillo crafting their style of being a Mexican brawler.
That's what I like doing. I like putting on a show.
Every time somebody tells me I'm tough, I'm like, man, you're tough. You know what I mean?
While Moreno floats like a butterfly and stings like a bee.
I like to hit a move, stay slick, make it look pretty.
But the gym isn't just crafting their next pro fighter. The trio describes the atmosphere as family-oriented, seeing everybody who puts on the gloves grow in life.
We try to keep each other in check. We try to keep each other disciplined and, with a straight mind. So, just that we take, it ain't just all about boxing.
I feel like this sport really humbles you. It teaches you to, think about what you do before you do it.
Breeding life lessons through sport as these undefeated fighters share their brotherhood between the ropes.
This sport teaches you to be sympathetic and also competitive. I feel like a lot of people are losing their competitiveness. This is probably the most competitive sport there is.
I have memories that I'm making right now that I'll take for the rest of my life, that I'll be able to one day, tell my kids. It's, trying to keep each other straight and just try to build a future for everybody.
For Hispanic Heritage Month, I'm Dylan Jimenez.
Wow, all 3 are going to put their undefeated record on the line next month. It's coming up on November 9th at Fire Lake Arena in Shawnee, Oklahoma. And if you'd like more on the fights, all you have to do is head over to TexHomelessHomepage.com.
And best of luck to them, too, when that day comes.
For sure. I hope they all win.
I do, too.